Through the window of Magnolia Quay Coffee, three of America's most expensive supercars gleamed at the curb: a Hennessy Venom F5, a Chinger 21C, a Ford GT Mach 4. Vivian Ashford never glanced twice. The man across her table wore a faded flannel, a smear of engine grease near one wrist. A poor single father, the matchmaker had warned her. 2 o'clock. Blind date. 11 minutes in, she stood. "I have a meeting." Her heels clicked across the floor, past the window, past the three supercars at the curb. She walked between them. She didn't know they were his. 40 minutes earlier, on the 32nd floor of the Ashford Hospitality Tower, Vivian was closing on a coastal property in Beaufort. Her assistant slid the final page across the desk. Vivian signed. Her phone vibrated. "Mother." "Vivian, 2 o'clock. Magnolia Key. Marcus arranged it. He's a Charleston gentleman. Don't embarrass me again." Vivian closed her eyes for half a second. It was a board review week. She could not afford another fight with the family. She told her assistant to push the 4 o'clock call. Across town, in a converted brick warehouse on the outskirts of Charleston, Nathaniel Calloway was kneeling beside a Hennessy Venom F5 with its bonnet open. He had been there since 5 in the morning. The customer was a Japanese collector who had waited 2 years for the calibration to be finished by hand. Nate moved a torque wrench a quarter turn and rechecked the dial. Lily sat on a tall stool beside him, swinging her legs, drawing with colored pencils. 3 cars and a son. She held it up. Nate nodded once and went back to the dial. His shop manager appeared at the bay door. "You have that thing at 2, boss." Nate exhaled. 3 years since Emily. 3 years since he had agreed to anything that involved a tablecloth. He had said yes, only because Emily's college friend had asked, and her family knew the matchmaker, and the matchmaker knew a man named Marcus Whitmore. None of that felt like reason enough. He went anyway. He dropped Lily at her grandmother's house on Trad Street, kissed the top of her head, and got back into the 1998 Ford pickup. He did not go home. The flannel was clean enough. The grease near his cuff would not come out in 5 minutes. At the same moment, 3 delivery drivers from Callaway Coachworks were inching down East Bay Street with 3 customer vehicles bound for the showroom: the Hennessy, the Chinger, the Ford GT Mach 4. A street festival had blocked Vendu Range. The drivers parked along the curb in front of Magnolia Key Coffee and waited for the signal to roll into the back lot. Nate never saw them. He had a rule. He did not let customers see him in their own cars. Vivian arrived first. She took the table by the window because Rosa, the manager, gestured her there without asking. She glanced at her Cartier. 2 o'clock exactly. The supercars at the curb registered only as obstacles to her line of sight. Nate walked in. Faded gray flannel. Grease near his right wrist. Vivian's first thought was not anger. It was certainty. Marcus had sent her a mechanic to test how she would react, a small, mean joke at her expense. Nate pulled out the chair across from her. He started to say something about his daughter. He did not finish. 11 minutes later, Vivian stood. "I have a meeting." Nate did not rise. He nodded once, gently, and turned toward Rosa. "Put hers on my tab, please. Thank you." Vivian did not hear him. She walked past the table, past the window, past the 3 supercars at the curb. She did not look up. She slid into the back of the Range Rover and told the driver to go. The next morning, Vivian sat across from her mother and Marcus in the corner booth of the Sycamore Club. She kept the report brief. The meeting had not been a good fit. Marcus gave a thin smile and reached for his coffee. "I warned you. There aren't many decent men left in Charleston." Her mother sighed. Vivian let it pass. At noon, she went back to Magnolia Quay Coffee for a working lunch with 2 clients from Singapore. Rosa recognized her at the door and walked her to the same window table she had left less than 24 hours earlier. Vivian did not register the choice until the menus were set down. The Singapore meeting ran 60 minutes and ended in a handshake. As the clients left, Vivian caught Rosa's eye and gestured her closer. She asked quietly about the man in the gray flannel from the day before. She framed it as small talk. Rosa paused for half a second. Then she answered in a voice she had clearly measured beforehand. "Mr. Calloway has been a regular here for 12 years, Miss Ashford. He has a standing table. This one." Vivian set her cup down. "Calloway. I'm not at liberty to say more, ma'am." Rosa inclined her head. She did not look away. She did not apologize. Vivian paid the bill. She did not finish the espresso. Back at the tower, she pulled up her phone and typed Callaway Charleston into the search bar. The first result was a black landing page with a single line of white text. Callaway Coachworks by invitation only. No phone, no address, no images. The second result was a Forbes profile from 2017, referring to an unnamed atelier near Charleston that restores and refines the most exclusive American hypercars in private hands. The reporter had not allowed inside. She called Daniel Ng, her head of brand marketing. The supercar from the Kiowa Island campaign last year. The Ford GT. Where did it come from? Daniel answered without hesitation. Callaway Coachworks. They lent it to us. No fee. The owner said he respected the Ashford name. Said he knew your grandmother. Vivian was quiet. Should I pull it from the rotation? Daniel asked. No, she said. Send me every image we have of it. The folder opened on her screen. 12 frames. A matte coupe parked at the curve of the hotel drive, the river behind it. Vivian zoomed in on the rear quarter. She had walked past that car the day before. She had walked between two others just like it. She set the phone face down on the desk. 12 years of regular table. A car in her own flagship campaign. A line of customers a Forbes reporter was not allowed to photograph. She was not angry. The feeling at the base of her spine was colder than anger. It was the recognition of having stepped on something fragile without knowing it. In the warehouse outside the city, Lily was perched on the workbench, eating a half sandwich. How was coffee yesterday, Daddy? Nate wiped his hands on the shop rag. I ate a sandwich, alone. Lily watched him for a moment. She did not ask anything else. She had learned, before she was old enough to name it, when not to ask. She held out half her sandwich. Nate took it. 2 days passed. Vivian did not call. She did not write. On Thursday morning she canceled a board prep session, told her assistant to clear 2 hours, and drove herself to the address she had finally pulled from a private investigator she trusted. The warehouse sat on the marsh side of Charleston, off Meeting Street Extension. Red brick. 3 stories. A wrought iron gate, hand-forged. A small bronze plate. Callaway Coachworks established 2009. No phone. No buzzer. The gate opened when her tires crossed a sensor in the gravel. Inside, the air was cool and clean as an operating room. Concrete floors polished to a low sheen, 6 hypercars in various stages of disassembly, an SSC Tuatara stripped to the chassis, a Saleen S7 with 1 door off, 2 Ford GTs, a Chinger lifted on a custom rig, 18 technicians in charcoal coveralls. No music, only the click of torque wrenches and the soft pneumatic hiss of an airline. Nate was kneeling beside a 12-cylinder engine with the cylinder head off. He looked up when she stepped in. He showed no surprise. He stood. He wiped his hands on a clean rag. He gestured her forward. He did not ask why she was there. He did not ask for an apology. He walked her through the floor as he would walk any prospective client. He explained build times, the protocol for matching paint to a customer's exact yacht livery. The wait list. He did not give her a single name. Up a steel staircase to a mezzanine office. A plain oak desk. A photograph on the wall, black and white. A woman with long hair laughing into a wind. Emily, 2 years before the diagnosis. Beside it, a smaller frame. Lily, 4 years old, sitting on the hood of a Ford GT, both legs swinging. Vivian's throat was dry. She made herself ask the only question that mattered. Why didn't you say anything that day? Nate did not look at her. He looked at the photograph of Emily. Because you had already decided. I'm not used to arguing with other people's decisions. There was no edge in his voice, no injury. If he had been angry, she could have apologized. The absence of anger was the harder thing. A door opened downstairs. Lily's voice, quick and high, talking to her nanny. School had let out. She climbed the stairs 2 at a time and stopped at the office door when she saw Vivian. Hi. Lily looked from her father to the woman in the gray suit. Are you Daddy's customer? Vivian could not speak for a second. She nodded. Lily reached into her backpack and pulled out a piece of paper folded in half. She crossed the room and handed it to Vivian, very seriously, the way another child might hand over a passport. I drew it the day Daddy went for coffee. 3 cars, and a son. Vivian held it in both hands. She thanked the girl. Lily ran off to find her nanny. Vivian and Nate walked down the staircase in silence. At the gate, she turned. She started to say something. Nate shook his head once, very slightly. "You don't owe me that, Miss Ashford." She drove herself home. She laid the drawing on the passenger seat. She did not fold it. She did not put it in her bag. At a red light, she looked at it for a long time before the light changed. By the end of that week, Marcus had heard. His assistant mentioned it offhand. The CEO drove out to a private workshop on Meeting Street Extension, spent 2 hours, did not say where she was going. Marcus set down his pen. The color drained from his face for reasons that had nothing to do with romance. 3 years ago, one of his shell companies, Whitmore Hospitality Solutions, LLC, had attempted to commission a restoration at Callaway Coachworks. The shop had returned the deposit and declined the order. The reason given in the polite letter was irregular payment routing. Nate Callaway had not pursued it further, but he had kept the file. Marcus knew, because he had been told by a contact in Callaway's legal office 2 months later that the documentation remained on a shelf, indexed by date. Marcus had assumed the file would die on that shelf. Now the CEO of Ashford Hospitality had driven out to the same building. He picked up his phone and called Harrison Pope, a senior board member he had cultivated over 3 winters of charity dinners. "I'm worried about Vivian. I'm hearing she may be entangled with a local vendor. We should be careful." He let the silence sit. He did not say more than that. A week later, Vivian sent Nate a formal invitation to the Ashford annual fundraiser at the Charleston Place Ballroom. The wording placed him as a vehicle partner for the brand campaign. It was the most polite apology she could draft without writing the word. Nate came. He brought Lily. Lily wore a pale blue dress and brought a book on antebellum architecture. She found a velvet bench in the corner of the ballroom, opened the book on her knees, and stayed there for the next hour, looking up only when a server brought her a glass of water. Marcus stationed himself near the bar. He introduced Nate to a Hong Kong real estate developer as a charming local mechanic Vivian has been helping out. Nate smiled, nodded, did not correct him. 20 minutes later, Hiroshi Tanaka walked in. The Tokyo collector who had waited 2 years for his Venom F5. He saw Nate from across the room, set his glass down on a passing tray, and bowed deeply. "Callaway-sensei, this is my honor." The Hong Kong developer turned to Marcus and asked, mildly, who Mr. Callaway was. Marcus did not answer. A woman from Geneva answered for him. "He is the only man in America I trust with my car." 2-year wait list. Vivian stood 3 steps away. She had been watching Nate. After Tanaka's bow, she did not watch Nate. She watched Marcus. At the end of the evening, Lily slipped through the crowd and tugged the hem of Vivian's sleeve. "Do you want to see what I drew tonight?" Vivian knelt down. Lily showed her a page of the architecture book, the corner folded over a hand-drawn copy of a wrought iron gate. "I think you'd like a gate like this on your building." Vivian touched the page lightly. "Which building?" Lily looked at her surprised. "The one you're going to build." Vivian glanced up at Nate, who was watching them from across the room. He was not smiling. He was simply watching, the way a man watches something he does not want to disturb. After the fundraiser, Marcus left first. He did not say goodnight to Vivian. Nate offered to drive her somewhere she could breathe. He did not phrase it that way. He said, "There's a car in the lot that needs one last test run before delivery. You could ride along." It was the Ford GT Make 4. Going to a client in Naples in the morning. Nate had not let anyone but his lead engineer take it out yet. Vivian got in. They drove south out of the peninsula, through Mount Pleasant, across the bridge to James Island, down Folly Road, where the houses thinned out and the marsh began to glow under a half-moon. He kept the windows half down. The salt air came in. He did not put on music. She asked him about Emily. He did not turn his head. She was an architect. She designed the workshop. "I just keep it running." Vivian was quiet for a long mile. Then she said something she had not said to anyone in 15 years. "I didn't want to be CEO. I wanted to work in heritage preservation. My mother said no." Nate did not respond right away. When he did, it was only, "There's still time." They reached the end of Folly Beach. He pulled the car off the road, into the lot where the asphalt gave way to sand. He killed the engine. The Morris Island lighthouse beam swept across the water every 6 seconds. They sat on the hood.